The article in question was published on Friday, May the 5th, 1871, in the Hagerstown Mail. We learn that between Sabi and Cranesville, on what is called Piney, in McNairy County, Tennessee, a strange and frightful being has been observed for several weeks. He is said to be 7 feet high and possessed of great muscular power. His eyes are unusually large and fiery red. His hair hangs in the tangled and matted mass below his waist, and his beard reaches to below his middle. His entire body is covered with hair, and his whole aspect is most frightful. He shuns the sight of them, but approaches with wild and horrid screams of delight every woman who is unaccompanied by a man. He sometimes, with great caution, approaches houses, and should he see a man, he runs away with astonishing swiftness, leaping the tallest fences with the ease of a deer, defying alike the pursuit of men and dogs. He has frightened several women by attempting to carry them off, as well as by his horrid aspect, and the whole country around Sabi is in consternation. The citizens are now scouring the woods and are determined either to capture or drive off the monster. People have been reporting strange stories of ape-like creatures in Tennessee for many years, and Native Americans from this region also have their own accounts and names for this creature. There was a rash of sightings near Flintville, Tennessee around the 70s and 80s that earned its own notoriety. The following is an article from the Augusta, Georgia Chronicle, posted April the 6th, 1997 by E. Randall Floyd. There's a Bigfoot attacking cars and trying to snatch little children in the Tennessee foothills. Exactly what the Flintville monster is or where it came from remains a mystery, but more than 2 decades of sightings and terrifying encounters have left many people convinced that the creature is not only real, but dangerous as well. More than 2 decades of sightings and terrifying encounters with a massive hairy monster have left the folks of Flintville, Tennessee, about 70 miles west of Chattanooga, convinced that the creature is not only real, but dangerous. That thing's so big, it could easily hurt somebody, complained Ned Sinclair, a farmer. Who knows how many head of our livestock have gone missing because of it. There were many reports of cars being attacked in the late 70s. In 1976, a woman told police a giant hairy monster broke her automobile antenna and then jumped onto the roof of her car and began bouncing up and down. Another woman says she hid on the floorboard when a similar creature attacked her car. and the plumber claimed that his windshield was smashed by the monster. On April 26, 1976, Mrs. Robertson's 4-year-old son Gary was playing in the yard when his mother heard him scream. When she ran outside to investigate, she became conscious of a foul odor that reminded her of a skunk or dead rats. Then she saw a huge ape-like figure bounding across the yard towards the house. It was 7 or 8 feet tall, she told investigators. It seemed to be all covered with hair. It reached out its long, hairy arms toward Gary and came within a few inches of him. Seconds before the shaggy beast could grab the child, his terrified mother snatched him up, darted inside the house, and locked the doors. When she got up enough courage to look outside the window, she saw a big black shape disappearing into the woods. Minutes after she reported the incident to police, swarms of lawmen and hunters descended on her property, armed with shotguns and rifles. They resolved to track down and kill the creature. Throughout the night, they combed the woods on the outskirts of town. They never found anything, but on at least 2 occasions the creature screamed at them and pelted them with rocks. The next day, the hunters found more 16-inch footprints, as well as hair, blood, and mucus. The hair was scientifically analyzed, but could not be identified. The Cherokee of this region even have their own names for this creature. I sometimes have to ask myself, how far back does this thing really go? I have to point out the fact that there are similarities with another Tennessee cryptid known as the White Bluff Screamer that I will get into in another video. But could these 2 creatures possibly be one and the same? There have been more recent sightings in Tennessee since, like that of Rob Phillips, that was featured on the TV show Monsters and Mysteries in America. He claims that his sighting happened near the Watauga Cliffs in Tennessee. He states that he did not share the story with many people before because he felt as though no one would believe him. It was like everything in the woods just stopped, Phillips said. There was no sound at all. Then we heard twigs snapping, and then there was this scream. It was like nothing we had ever heard before. It was not a human sound or an animal sound. Then we took off. Phillips and his cousin got separated in the woods in the dark. Phillips found a spot to hide against a tree and stayed there, afraid to move or make any noise. He said then he heard the sounds of twigs breaking as they were stepped on all around him. That noise stopped, but then he heard it coming from the trees above him. Then he noticed a large being, some 20 feet up in a tree, about 15 feet in front of him. I saw it in the tree, and then I saw my cousin, and we took off, he said. We made it to the top of the hill, and it was at the bottom of the hill growling. We ran for the cars and got out of there. Phillips described the Tennessee wild man as stout and standing around 9 feet tall. He said it was covered in charcoal gray fur that was neither shaggy or fine. He said the creature had red, beady eyes, really long arms, and long, sharp-looking claws. But it was the wild man's smell that he noticed first. If you have had a Bigfoot experience and would like to tell your story, email me by sending your name, your location, and a short description of your encounter to my email below.